underrated movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Elton Henry, and today I'm going to talk to you about another underrated gem, which I finally had the chance to watch this film. Knowing about it for years, I'm going to recommend, and you have to watch this on HBO Max, especially if you're into like romantic comedies, but this is a different kind of genre. Sci-fi film, and that is Colossal, starring Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, Dan Stevens, and Tim Blake Nelson, about a woman who is struggling with alcoholism, breaks up with her boyfriend, and has to go back, moving to her old hometown, where she meets an old buddy of hers, childhood friend, tries to help her get back off her feet. Well, get back up her feet, trying to help her out, until a giant monster starts to attack South Korea. And strangely enough, eventually she finds out that the monster that appears in South Korea mimics her movements, and she is shocked, wondering how, Damn, there's always going to be technical issues. Anyway, Colossal. Finally had the chance to watch this, and I'm going to tell you, this is better than what I expected to be. And from what the trailer advertises you are in for a treat. Anne Hathaway plays a alcoholic who's pretty much not really doing anything productive with her life, and her ex-boyfriend Dan Stevens breaks up with her because kicks her out of his spot, and it's like, you're not doing anything with your life, you're not going anywhere, you're constantly getting yourself into trouble, and you're not doing anything productive with your life, so I'm kicking you out. So she moves back to her hometown and to this little house that kind of like Jason Sudeikis is kind of, I guess, renovating or having. It's another extra house, which they were actually old time friends since childhood. And he tries to help her out on her feet and offers her a job at his bar, which she accepts. And I'm going to tell you right now, things start to get a little bit chaotic, where she soon discovers that she might have some sort of telekinetic connection to this giant monster that's attacking in South Korea. And I'm telling you straight up, Anne Hathaway's fun in this film. Her character doesn't necessarily change really in the film, but she's kind of, I don't say you're sympathetic towards her, but it's like you're kind of wondering why this character is such a way that she is now, which, looking back at the film, you don't really know much as to why. I think you're getting little subtle hints as to why she's the way she is, but she's not particularly, I mean, she's a likable character, but she's not too much of a redeemable character, but she's like in a victim self role that she constantly puts herself in, and then it gets to a point where she kind of accepts who she is. There are moments where she tries to somewhat change a little bit, but she regresses to her drunken ways. And it's actually also interesting when her, Jason Sudeikis, Tim Blake Nelson, and her other friends finds out that they have to report, or they have to show up at this certain park where they have to be there at a certain time. I think, if I remember, it was like 8:07. And at that specific time, when she is in the sandlot, this little sand play park outside, she summons a monster that appears in South Korea. It's like a frog, man-like frog, kind of like monster, which is It's a nice design. And I'm actually surprised what they were able to do with the budget with $15 million. It's actually impressive. And the monster mimics her. Well, she mimics the monster's move, or it's like the other way around, where she controls the monster's movements. But also realizing that when she summons that monster, she's also creating havoc, damage, and destruction in South Korea. So it's not really a good thing on her part. And it actually gets very interesting. The plot is very, very, very interesting, and it goes into ways you don't really um, anticipate. And what I mean by that, it sells you like some sort of like romantic comedy involving with some sort of science fiction element into it. This is not it. This is a dark comedy with some serious themes, some heavy themes of people playing self-victim and are not able to, I would say, find solutions to their struggles. Yep. Where Jason Sudeikis, when you see him basically owning this bar and helping Anne Hathaway out, there's something that he kind of wants from Anne Hathaway. He wants a relationship from her. He's attracted to her, but also the more she kind of sees how his life has been, the guy pretty much is in a rut just like Anne Hathaway. So he sees a connection. There's a little thing in the film where actually when they were children, they've encountered some sort of unnatural event, and it causes them to actually summon both their own monstrous avatars whenever they stepped inside of this little sandlot like playground, and it appears both in South Korea. And there's a little connection where you're dealing with two somewhat people who feel lost and wishing that they could do something higher or more meaningful with their lives. And I think it's a timeless theme where you have people who are stuck in this self-hate, the self-loathing kind of mentality that they start to abuse or their relationships, whether it's friendships, relationships, romantic relationships, and you see the impact. And the more you see into the lives, you see that these characters are pretty much self-destructing themselves in a way. This is actually a fascinating comedy this is a great film. I could understand there might be a little hate with this film because if you're expecting like a regular monster fight like was it the kanji genre, Japanese monsters fighting Godzilla, this is not it. I mean, you kind of get that a little bit, but it's not entirely that. It's a uniquely premise film of people wishing they could, yeah, wishing they were to have done more with their lives than what they have now. And I think the monster is also a metaphor that I think these people would try to imagine themselves bigger and better of what they want to be, but they're actually hating on themselves and regretting the decisions they made personally, where they feel small, but in their imagination they feel bigger. Colossal is a phenomenal film you have to check out. It deals with so many different things that I think you need to really evaluate. And I'm telling you, this is a film you should not overlook. Colossal, have you seen it? Comment below, let me know if you have, and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.